for Tuesday, July 18th, 2017, to order with roll call, please.
Betts.
Here.
Kostler.
Here.
Cavalli.
Here.
Kraus.
Here.
McAlpine. Here. Weinhammer.
Here.
And Koenig.
Here. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll now move to the open forum where the public is invited to make an issue-oriented comment on any matter of public concern not otherwise on the agenda. We didn't have anybody officially sign in, but is there anybody else who would like to address the village board this time? We'll go ahead and close open forum. I have a couple things on my mayor's report. I'm adding one to my report. We have a special recognition for Nancy Bragg. If she can join me up in the front, that would be great. Hey, stranger. This is Nancy Bragg. She is our former village clerk. She was village clerk for over 10 years, and we are grateful for the service that she provided for us. She not only attended our village board meetings, our committee of the whole meetings, but all of our CPA meetings. So she attends a lot of meetings, and she has gotten to know a lot of the people on the various boards and committees, and we appreciate your service. So I'm delighted to be able to present you with this plaque for you for your service to the village of Cary for the last 10 years. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And on another matter, we have some exciting news. The Village of Cary has been awarded by SafeWise. SafeWise is proud to present this award to the City of Cary for their efforts in community safety and crime prevention. Cary was ranked the 28th safest city in Illinois due to its commitment to the safety and security of all of its residents. So that's exciting news for us from SafeWise, and the chief is kind of give us a little bit of a breakdown on that.
So the methodology that they use is they use SafeWise, that is, they use the FBI Uniform Crime Reporting, and they eliminated the communities under 5,000. So these are all communities above 5,000. They looked at, let me find it here, the violent crime and property crimes, violent crime, specifically aggravated assault, forcible rape, murder, and robbery, and then property crimes are arson, burglary, larceny, theft, and motor vehicle theft. Anyone involved in criminal justice knows that's what we have to report to the FBI. So given that we ranked 28th, last year we were 31st, so we're up a couple, but I just wanted to identify a couple of notable communities that were also on the list that are above us, but certainly we're in this group. And it's Inverness, Hawthorne Woods, Spring Grove, Lindenhurst, Lakemore, Lake in the Hills, Buffalo Grove, Clarendon Hills, Hampshire, Homer Glen, Northfield, Deerfield, and Cary. So I think that we're in very good company, number one, and number two, given the fact that everyone, you know, not just Cary, but everyone in the municipal government is doing more with less. It shows a great commitment to crime prevention and investigations.
Thank you.
Any questions in regards to this? Reflection of the community, more than it's just a reflection of the department and things of that nature. So it's not just the police department, but certainly a reflection of the community.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Good work. Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items number 1 through 12. So moved.
Second.
Pardon me? Items number.
Do you need us to move it to go so move and second again?
Pardon me?
Do we need to move and second it again or no?
No, were there any change? Did you see any changes? If not, then we'll just move forward with it. Roll call.
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
McAlpine.
Thank you. Moving to items for separate action, we're going to have a discussion regarding the annual sale.
Yeah, briefly, Mayor, just to give a little history for the new board members and also for public who may not be aware, Lafarge won back in 2008. Last year, the village board amended that conditional use to allow mining to continue on the property through December of this year through the use of a dredge, floater head dredge equipment. Through the operations on the property, they're required to restore the property and dedicate it to the village of Cary by June 1st of next year. Representatives that are here this evening to give an update of where they're at in current mining operations on the site.
That each year, annually, Meyer Materials to appear before the village board to give you an update and allow you to ask questions regarding their operations on the site.
With that, I'll invite members of Lafarge Meyer's team come forward.
Good evening. My name is Randy Willie. I'm the
Thanks, Randy.
Regional Director of Land and Environment for Lafarge Aggregates, formerly known as Meyer. We're still operating a little bit under that name, but Brooke Brandy.
Here, I can pass it. over. That's good. Yeah, please. Thanks.
And I'm here with Tony Janikis, who's the Operations Manager in charge of the Algonquin Mine. And thought I'd walk through a couple of slides. I know several of you I had the pleasure of taking on little guided tours earlier this spring and summer. So it maybe gives you a little bit better feel for the operation. I thought I'd give you a brief history, and then Tony can probably answer some more operational related questions about the dredge itself. And a little bit later, I'm going to cover more of the land issues. But just as a brief history for the new members, Meyer Material Company acquired the mine in 1961 from Ben Meyer, and we've been mining sand and gravel on the property for 50-plus years, usually construction applications, concrete, asphalt, base materials. And as you can see by the aerial photograph, there's several pieces of property involved, including the northeasternmost property, which is partially in Algonquin and partially in Cary, which we're mining today, and we convey it back to the southwest corner down to where the processing plant is on Illinois Route 31. The family that owned Meyer eventually sold it to a corporate entity called Wholesome, and they had a division in the United States called Aggregate Industries. So in 2006, Aggregate Industries was our parent company, but the Meyer brand was still intact because we still operated a fleet of 450 concrete trucks, which were part of the business back then. We have since divested the concrete business. The economy took its toll on that portion of the business. Ozinga operates most of the plants that we have now in Illinois, but it paved the way for a merger between Wholesome, who was out of Switzerland, and Lafarge Aggregates, who is really based in Paris. And the combination of the two globally is pretty sizable. On a local level, Lafarge Aggregates had a stronger brand name, and we're in the process of converting all the Meyer sites into Lafarge Aggregate sites. A little permit history, as Brian mentioned a little bit. The conditional use permit we've been operating under on the Cary property originated in February of 2008, and that was really for dry mining with wet mining creation of lakes through the use of a drag line or a backhoe, which are hydraulic pieces of equipment. We started running behind schedule, and last fall we received permission from the board to include the use of a suction dredge, which floats on the water. We also received an extension of the hours to mine because the dredge has a little bit less impact than some of the other hydraulic equipment that we were operating. So just a little blow up of the portion that's in Cary is also in the village of Algonquin. The southern portion, or the southern lower right-hand L, was annexed into the village of Algonquin in 1993, and then including the 20 acres at the southwest corner. The northern portion, which is kind of an upside-down L, which includes the Chalet Farmette, was annexed into Cary in 1994, and originally the parcel was zoned for residential R2 and R3 and business park. And then in 2008, it was rezoned to agricultural for mining and recreational use under the conditional use permit. The original terms that we operated under in Cary for 2008 were 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. for the mining equipment. And again, we had a deadline of getting all the extraction done by June 1st of 2016. And we were given 2 years to fully develop the property for recreational purposes. So June 1st of 2018 was the deadline for that. Shortly after we signed the ordinance, the economy started to crater and the housing market plummeted. By 2010, we couldn't sell anything we produced. And that went on for about 3 years. And with the hours of operation restrictions, there was no way to catch up. We did try to ask for more hours, but it was kind of too soon at the time. So we came back last year once we had gotten a lot more of the stripping activities done. So these photos are current photos of the equipment that we were permitted to operate. The dredge is a floating piece of equipment. We contracted out to a company out of La Crosse, Wisconsin. It's J.F. Brennan Company. The hours of operation are now Monday morning, starting at 7:30 a.m. through Saturday at 7:30 p.m. I know for about the first month, we weren't running on Saturdays. I think right about Memorial Day or a little bit after that, I think we started getting some Saturdays. And Tony can maybe shed some light on that. The equipment down at the bottom is the dewatering wheel and the dewatering screens. In essence, we pump the material through that piping you can see up there, or the dredge photo is, pump it back to the equipment that actually sorts and dewaters it. The water is put back into the lake, and the remaining dry material goes on the conveyor belt up to the tunnel at Clausen Road and heads to the processing site. The property restoration portion is obviously what we're keying on while the dredge is in operation. So the dredge sits in the center of the property, actually making the lake boundary bigger by taking all the minerals out from the water. And then along the perimeter is where all the site work that has to be done in order to get the park ready for June 1st of 2018. Earlier this spring, we were working with village staff and our subcontracting units to design the final contours and the trail layout. I'll call it just a two-dimensional trail layout. We discovered that we needed to meet ADA compliance for public use, so that is creating another expense and a challenge, but we're working on it. The timing of the final land restoration up in that northeast corner, because that's where the minerals are right now, it's sequenced as the dredge moves forward, but we're not exactly sure how that shoreline will look depending on how many aggregates are in that corner, but it will become very similar to that. And then the backfilling will occur shortly thereafter. So that portion of the mine, as well as where the tunnel goes under the road, are the last two pieces that we'll be putting together. General shaping of land contours is underway. We've contracted with GA Blocker Company. They've actually helped us build the peninsula along the east property line. They're currently working in the northwest corner. We had a mountain of excess overburden that they're starting to bring down now. And we're hoping in the next month or two, then we'll get the trails starting to get some of them cut in areas that are finished. We do, currently, we're working with the village on getting approval for the trail design, exactly where it will lay out, so that way the dirt contractor can follow behind. This is the most recent exhibit we have on the trails, and there are some alterations from the original design only because of the ADA standards and also drainage. We don't want to be building trails in a place where they're going to wash out right away. There's a lot of changing grades. So we're working with staff on that. We've hired an outside engineering company to lay out those trails, and they'll be stationed. As far as activities that have happened this year, we have been completing the stripping cells up in that northeasternmost portion of the property, right where the Cary-Algonquin property line is. Most of that stripping was hauled to the south to build a peninsula. You'll see along the west or east property line where it juts out quite a bit. That's currently the shoreline is being established there, and now they're kind of building it up. There was a woven wire fence that was a demarcation line between the green belt safety area and where we could actually stockpile materials. We've had to take that woven wire fencing out and start grubbing the overgrown growth of vegetation that's taken place over the years. We've replaced it with an orange safety fence near the property lines adjacent to the neighbors to keep the neighbors out. The stumps were ground in June. There was piles of trees up there for some time. We did try to manage the grubbing process and the chipping process, and several piles of brush away from the homes so they could be chipped. Taking out the center line for the trails in the next couple weeks to month. The orange fencing is looking like along the box trail behind them, so they have a direct view duration. You can see a clump of dead trees that had been piled up along those pine trees, which has since been removed, but that's all part of the grubbing process. There's some photos from early June where our haul trucks were taking the last stripping cells and building out the peninsula along the east property line. And then after you've taken out all the old vegetation, the old trees, we're going to start with that canvas in order to build out the property. That big pile of material that you can see out in the distance where the Blockers team has brought in a couple of earth movers, and they've been starting to shape that northwest corner of the parcel there as well.
Randy, to help orient people, are
In the background. So you're looking over at the, this is a current photograph, so you can see where the dredge is stationed. It's actually towards the east. Again, I will put the animation in shortly, but list of current action items that I'm involved in is the road, which we have to take out in order to complete the restoration in that corner. There's utilities that go to that trailer that need to be cut off and capped. There's some encroachments from the Fox River trails. It's marked. I've talked to a couple of the neighbors about moving some of their property will come down as part of the park. I have met with the Village of Algonquin Public Works Director to take a look at the tunnel and how the tunnel would be treated. Algonquin owns the land on both sides of the tunnel, and he's going to come back with the village engineer, but as a find a flowable fill or a pea gravel sand water mix to fill up. The reasoning was we weren't going to reopen Clausen Road to take, and for any easement, we'll property that wasn't supposed to, but those are. Tony, you can jump in anytime you want up here. I'm just going to put a list of, I'd say, future operational plans up here. Complete final stripping phase by August. Will you make the end of this month, or will it be August, or what's your thoughts?
Should be by August 1st, the final.
Okay. The advancement of the dredge will continue north and east. I guess I haven't been kind of dialed in on that portion of it. Backfilling and shaping of contours. GA Blocker is out moving dirt as we speak. So the big one right now is the approval of final engineering for the trail and the parking lot. Those are all staked out. Then we got to phase in the trail cuts and then the drainage ways, because there will be culverts underneath the trails to take some of that water down to the lake. And then there would be a cover crop. I've met with Chuck Stewart from Urban Forest Management. He's going to be involved in the final cover on the property. Completion of all mining by December 2017. We should be on schedule. The removal of the dredge itself, the wheel and the piping systems, portion of the property, and then prepare the parking area and finalize the restoration before. I don't want to screw this up. Yep. Then just pause it. Okay. We are fortunate enough to have professional subcontracting units, and I know in the past I've probably put up two-dimensional after two-dimensional photographs. That's all we had. Metric studies below the water, animated, but it'll at least give you a little flavor for the condition of the property today after it's all been grubbed. It'll be kind of at the bottom portion of the photo. South leg of that. And I don't know, Tony, do you have any idea on the target date?
to the mic.
But it'll be sometime toward the fall before we're up in that corner with a company. One will be
Taken currently, at least at the photograph, as far as its proximity to the home sign is going to stay until we actually get into a retreat mode. For the last couple of years with the open mining. Now this is the north property line heading towards Route 30. You can see how it's filled back in. It will head straight back towards the water wheel down zoom out, takes you back, but it gives you enough On July 1st, there was a $50,000 payment to the Cary Park District, and that has been completed. And then looking forward, there's a September 1st payment to the village of $500,000. And then also next June, the balance of the payment to the Cary Park District for $300,000. And at this point, I know we have letters of credit outstanding, but I think we'll be addressing those as those payments are finalized. And with that, if there's questions,
I have a question, and I'm not sure who to address this to, Jake or Brian or Mr. Willie. You mentioned several times about the final approval for the grading and pass. Who agrees? What does that refer to? Who gets final say in that?
Yeah, village staff right now is working on that, Director Morimoto and Director Simmons right now, and so it'll be approved administratively as far as where the paths are going to be located. For the most part, what we're looking at here is just, when people are utilizing the path, that they have various experiences along the path. And so Director Simmons, I believe, had walked it on Monday with Randy Willie here. And so we're just ironing out a few final details.
Okay, so we have final say, is that the bottom line, or?
Well, yeah, village staff, Director Morimoto and Director Simmons.
Okay.
Any other comments?
Looks good.
Thank you.
thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve a resolution authorizing an extension of the financial services agreement with Lauterbach and Amen LLP through July 31st, 2018, in the amount of $368,224 for personnel services and $40,000 for software and associated services, for a total contract amount of $408,224.
So moved.
Second.
You gonna take this?
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor, Village Board. Before you this evening is a contract extension with Lauterbach and Amen. As you are aware, Lauterbach and Amen has been providing us with financial staffing services since 2012. At that time, we're receiving services for finance director here. We've amended our contract since that time in 2015 and 2016 based on projects and needs of the village. Before you is another contract extension. Below, on the bottom of the screen here, you'll see what our current contract amount is, the internal personnel costs that we had projected for this fiscal year, the combined amount in taking that with the recommended enhanced or restructuring of the finance department will provide us with about $80,000 in savings. The staffing model that's being proposed here from a Lauterbach and Amen perspective, it's finance director level services for 2 days a week, finance manager level, which would be for special projects, senior accountant manager level at 3 days a week, accountant level at 5 days a week, and an entry level finance staff person at 1 to 2 days a week. There are some accessory benefits in addition to the $80,000 in savings that the village will receive. We'll be transitioning to Lauterbach and Amen's vendor here for financial software system. You've probably seen and you are aware within our capital budget, we have expenses for a new ERP system. With this contract, we'll be utilizing the relationship that Lauterbach and Amen has with an existing ERP system vendor. Here, this will provide substantial long-term savings for the Village of Cary. In addition to that, we'll see some accessory benefits related to utility billing in moving to their vendor to provide us with some enhanced utility billing options, such as providing our residents with electronic billing options. In addition to this, we will still get the 80-plus employees that Lauterbach and Amen has to provide to the Village of Cary to respond to the needs of what we have within the finance department. So Ron Amen is here from Lauterbach and Amen, kind of give an overview of the firm here, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Good evening. Thanks, Jake. I'll just give a brief history of our firm, kind of walk through the timetable of how many times I've been in this room and worked with the Village of Cary. When we put this together, it totally fascinates me, but I guess that's part of being older. 20 years ago, myself and my business partner, Sherry Lauterbach, were sitting on an audit at a government entity, and we looked at each other and we said, do you enjoy your job? And I said, I love my job. And she says, you like who we work for and what we stand for? And I said, no, absolutely not. And she said, what do you mean? And I said, I want to build a firm that's completely niched in the government world. So 20 years later, we fast forward to today, and we have just over, that number of 80 is what we call professional staff. We have about 110 total employees. We are still completely niched in the state of Illinois and completely niched in the government arena. We built the firm on two concepts that we come back to repeatedly is service and quality. One of the things that's happened at the Village of Cary, as my memory goes, is we did the audit here for 16 years. And our firm started 20 years ago, and after the first year, the Village of Cary hired us to go backwards and do 2 audits within about a 3-month time period. So we were doing audits of April of 1997. And worked under that audit concept for the Village of Cary for 16 years. As Jake alluded to, in 2012, the village came to us and said, can we change our relationship and take us under what we call our consulting model as opposed to our audit model? So we worked through a lot of different, and I came before the board at that time several different times, and we worked through different modeling structures. From 2012 until today, it's changed several times. Mike Descharmes here tonight with me, obviously to represent Lauterbach and Amon at that finance director and what he does or has been doing for the village. So what we continually do is try to provide service and quality and try to meet the needs of each individual unit of government that we work with. So it's not just to say we're going to be your auditor and we'll do that forever. When the village comes to us, they'll say, can we now switch it to our consulting world as opposed to the audit world? And so here I am today to kind of take it to the next step. The great part about what's happened in this is the staff that we have here, including Mike, has all stepped up to the plate, continually taken on more resources that the village has provided to us. And the continuation of our staff here has been really solid and I think a great asset to the village. So from there, I can take any questions or wherever we want to go.
Very good, thank you.
Does anybody have any direct questions for the consultant?
I think I just have one, and it's kind of off. How much of your firm's business comes from government? Like your income that you take in, how much is it coming from government entities versus private?
99.5% comes from government.
Thank you.
And the 0.5% is some units of nonprofits that are associated with those governments that we work with. So.
Any other questions? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Betts,
Yes.
Hostler,
Yes.
Cavelli,
Yes.
Kraus,
No.
McAlpine,
Yes.
Weinhammer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Moving to the next part of the meeting is I'll be looking for some approval for some appointments. There's been some concern as to how we got to this point in the process. And there's been some concern about the process. The 3 individuals that I'm recommending for approval for the appointment are people that are already sitting in those seats. I'm asking for a continuation of their appointment. The 3 individuals are excellent volunteers to the Village of Cary. They provide considerable in-depth and quality feedback to each of their individual units that they represent: the Police Pension Board, the Board of Zoning, Planning and Appeals, and the Police Commission. First, I'll be asking for an appointment for Christopher Sporle. He has just been selected as a new county board member for District 1. I had sought some information and some feedback from our state's attorney with regards to if there is a potential conflict of interest, and he had said that there is not, that he could serve on both boards. This is a highly specialized position within the Village of Cary. He has brought some phenomenal experience that has gotten us to a point where we could now invest greater amounts of money. He got our funds up to over $10 million, so we're able to invest more aggressively to kind of bridge the gap between what the state is mandating for us for our police pension and what our actual standing is right now. So I believe he is highly qualified for that position. He was one of my original appointments. We looked long and hard for him back several years ago when he was first appointed. My second appointment I am looking for is Pat Jasper for the ZPA. He has been a member of the ZPA for about 10 years. And I feel that his expertise moving forward with all the amounts of things that we have to work with, most pressingly is our UDO. We're completely redoing all of our ordinances and our zoning. And I would hope that his expertise would bring some stability and some continuity to the board, seeing as last year I just had an open process for the zoning board and we replaced 3 zoning board members through an open process. And finally, I'm looking for the appointment, the approval for Dory Shanakis. Dr. Shanakis is a psychologist, and she is also a counselor. She is a graduate of the Citizens Police Academy. The board that she is on right now is responsible for interviewing and hiring our new hires for the police department, as well as administrating the sergeant's test and any type of disciplinary actions. I'm acting within my authority that's been afforded me through our state statutes, and I know that there has been some concern about these things. These 2 of the people that I'm recommending for approval were they were appointed by previous mayors. The one that is my original appointment when I was first elected mayor was Chris Sporl. So he is I'm going to be seeking his approval too. So I will accept any questions during the process, but I felt it was appropriate for me to give to the members of the audience and people that are watching that these are solid individuals. And in the event of an actual vacancy where somebody resigns or retires or chooses not to be reappointed, I would do an open process as I have done before. I did an open process most recently for our village clerk. I've done an open process for the ZPA. I've done an open process for the police pension board. And I'm very much into what the community is looking for. So I think that moving forward, I would like to have the continuity and consistency with these advisory boards to help with the village of Cary. So that being said, I'll move forward I'll entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Chris Sporl to the Police Pension Board.
So moved.
Second,
Roll call, please.
can we discuss it at all?
Sure, I didn't think you
Anything
wanted to.
say?
I apologize.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I think Jimmy.
I move to table items 3, 4, and 5.
So moved. Second.
Could I ask why?
This is no commentary on the individuals you had picked. We had discussed this at a board level, and it seemed there was a majority of the board that wanted to open it up for applications. So I think that, it may come to the point where these 3 are the chosen appointees, but I think it would be really good to take a look at anyone else within the community that's interested in getting involved in the village.
I understand where you're coming from for that, but during an executive session, we discussed the merits of the individuals. There was no, as you just mentioned, there was no negative comments or any concerns about the actual individuals. We are here looking for the appointment of the people that are for the position, not the process. I understand if there was an actual vacancy, I would absolutely have an open process like I've demonstrated before. And I'm remaining consistent, and I feel that for the best of the village of Cary, maintaining the continuity and consistency with these 3 advisory boards is in the best interest of the village.
Can I interject then, with you bringing that up? I think it's important that this went out to, we had to have Ansel Blink send us all a memorandum about it. And they specifically went through and indicated on various examples, Village of Round Lake versus Brenner, I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, Petros versus Slawko, and Village of Westmont versus Lenahan, that is 100% the responsibility of the mayor to make these appointments. That the power of dismissal and removal from office is also something that is exercised only by the mayor, and that when the Illinois Supreme Court noted that the basic objective of local ordinances when villages were trying to overturn this was that the Board of Trustees appeared to have been securing itself power to control the appointments of the mayor, and that was found to be, they're not allowed to usurp the powers of the village executive branch. Our mayor is our executive branch. No matter who that mayor is, whoever would have won that election had that, has that right to do. Not only that right, but that's a responsibility. Again, if we don't like the process, I understand that. And I can respect if someone says, hey, I don't like this process, but every one of us raised our hand and said that we swore that we would uphold the Constitution of the state of Illinois. The Constitution of the state of Illinois says that this is the mayor's appointments.
Where did you get that, Ellen? I didn't get a copy of that.
Oh, that was sent out on April 24th, 2017.
Did everybody else get that?
I wish everyone should have gotten it because I got it off my email.
You might
it's-
not have, though, because you weren't sworn in yet.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just interesting. I'd like to ask legal counsel too, because whenever I ask, when I go to different sessions, and I just met with another community today, if the mayor ever goes against the advice and consent of the board, I've always been told no. They've never gone against the advice and consent of the board. So I find it odd that the other mayors from other communities don't go against the advice and consent of the board. And we're asking for it to just go out to the public. As Jim said, we don't have a problem with the people that are applying. We just want to give the public an opportunity to go ahead and be involved if they want to. So I'm confused on why we can't open it up to the public. And can I actually have you tell me? He's required to go ahead and ask for the advice and consent of the board, right? He has to have our consent to make the appointment. He can go ahead and, from what I understand, he can nominate it, but we have to go ahead and agree to it.
That's right. The mayor has the power and discretion to decide how to select who's going to nominate, and then the board gives their advice and consent. That's correct. Confirms the nomination. In this case, each of these individuals currently sit, and under state law, they will continue to serve in that office until a successor is qualified and confirmed. So, for lack of a confirmation, for lack of affirmation of the mayor's nomination, they will continue to serve as holdover appointments.
It's interesting that you have these conversations with other mayors. Did you give them the entire background of my decision-making process and how this is? I would guess not. I typically do not, and you had brought it at one particular time, you had told me that I had went against the advice and consent of the board. That's not true. That one ZPA member no longer was on that board. I removed her from that board.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about right now. We had an executive session, which we discussed this. I don't know why we even had
Point of
executive
procedure.
session.
We have a motion to table. That needs voted before we continue discussing these other things.
Well, we can still discuss though that whether we should be tabling it or not, can we not?
That's my understanding.
Then
You can debate the motion to table.
Right.
So again, I understand that you have an issue with the process, but these are people that are serving the community right now. They're doing an excellent job. We are in a very good, sound position with our advisory boards. And it's the people that we're looking at right now. You all said you have no problem with the people, you have the problem with the process. That's what we're debating right now, is the people that we have been brought forth. These aren't hand-picked people. They aren't selected. There wasn't a vacancy that I just said, Joe Smith is going to be my appointment. That's not it at all. These are people that are currently serving in the capacity for the Village of Cary. They are volunteering, and they are doing an excellent job. Speaking with all of the people within the various committees and boards, they like what's going on. They are in a positive, forward-moving environment. There's collaboration on the board, and we're moving things forward. That's what I'm looking for.
That's what you're looking for, but what about the rest of the board?
Jennifer, I understand that, but these are mayoral appointments.
With the advice and consent of the board?
On the individual that has been brought forward.
Correct.
That is
So
what
you
the state
nominate,
statute.
and then we-
The state statute doesn't give any credence to what the process is. It is the person or the man or woman that is brought forward to serve in that capacity.
Why are you pushing so hard against this? Like, why are you pushing so hard against opening it up to the public? I just don't understand that.
Well, I just because I feel that they're doing a good job. You know, just because somebody is you making a change for the sake of change doesn't always benefit. These are experienced people. They've got incredible backgrounds. They're doing a wonderful job for the Village of Cary. I don't see the need to, we need to move forward. This is just a simple process. And the interesting, a comment that you had made about you've spoken to other mayors. I'm in an association with a bunch of mayors, and they don't have issues like this because this is carefully thought of. These are people that have shown that they are doing a great job. If there was somebody that was on one of these various boards, I would absolutely remove them and have an open process. But until that, they are all doing excellent jobs.
I didn't say they weren't.
That's what the matter is here. It has nothing to do with the process. The state statute indicates that it's the person being brought forward. And we had a special executive session regarding this, and everybody said they had no issues with the people being brought forward.
No, but we all
That is
said,
what-
Just let me, I did have some issues with the one person.
With
Okay,
one person,
so
you did, yeah,
I
I
did, so
did.
don't say that nobody had any issues
Well, there
with
was-
nobody. I did.
True. However, I guess the question is, what are we looking to accomplish by tabling it? That's one of my questions. What are we looking to accomplish by tabling it? Because you want to change the process, right?
Allowing others to participate.
And I understand that, but again, the process is the process, and we table it, but then the mayor has in my opinion, the obligation and the responsibility to bring people to fill those positions. So are we just going to constantly table it, or are we going to make a decision? I think that the people that are in those positions have the right to have a decision made on that. When we did talk in executive session, Trustee Kraus did make a concern. He talked about that and talked about where he was with that, and that's what that portion, that's why we did that. At that same time, both Trustee Cavelli and Trustee Weinhammer, you made accusations that really impugned the character and the integrity of our of our mayor. You said that that your husband, Kim, you said that he applied for a position, that you had a note, you had in your email, you were going through it saying, I've got it right here, and that the mayor did not fulfill the opportunity for him to be interviewed. And yet, come to find out now that that's not what happened. That he applied for the position months after it was already filled, and that the mayor did go ahead and at least thank him
I'm
for
gonna
that.
stop you right there, because there was an email that went out that basically said that the application was still online and that he did not know if it was open or not. So that's a moot point at this point.
Well, no, it really isn't, because you
It
made it
really
sound like he
is.
doesn't abide by that he's not following proper procedures, or he's not being,
No one here is going to change their mind at this point, so I don't know why we're still arguing it.
I'm not trying to argue it, Kim. I'm just saying that one of the points that you and Jennifer had made that you were concerned about was that the mayor wasn't, when opportunities were open, that he wasn't going through the proper process.
Because as a public person looking in, not knowing, not sitting on this board every single day, you have no clue what's going on. When emails are being exchanged and you are the public, you don't know about the ins and outs. So if I'm a public person looking in, that's how he felt at that time, because he did not know. And so there's probably other people in the public who would like the opportunity, and they're not given this opportunity. So if I'm them sitting in the audience, or if I'm them in the community who wants to get involved, and I don't even have the opportunity, that to me says that only certain people get the opportunity. And that's where I don't agree with this, and I think it should be open.
Sure, and that's the process, and I can respect that 100%, that you don't like the process. But the state of Illinois set the process. We didn't. And it's
We
quite-
have the opportunity to
No,
do it
we do
elsewise.
not.
Yes, we do. We have the opportunity to open it up to the entire community. There's other communities that do that.
I'm not saying that another opportunity doesn't, but I'm saying with the statute, with the law,
I'm
what
not
the Illinois
arguing
Supreme
that.
Court said, we've got all that paperwork that says, here's what it is. And I guess what I'm concerned with is if we had someone that doesn't possess the necessary qualities to fulfill the role that they're being appointed to, then by all means, every one of us should raise a red flag and say, hey, this person should not be serving. On the flip side, if we're looking for, as the mayor, I think, indicated that he's looking for continuity for some of these boards. The ZPA board, simply because there's 3 new members. The police pension board, basically based on Mr. Sporl's very deep knowledge of how the intricacies work on that. And then Dr. Shanakis, with her insight into that, he's indicated why he wants these people appointed. I think we owe it to these people to vote. And if you want to vote down on them, you can, but you should be voting down on the person, not the process. If you don't like the process and you want to abstain from it, I can respect that, but we owe these people a vote up or down.
We just discussed in executive session, majority of us said that we wanted to go ahead and have it gone out to the public. We want the opportunity for the public to be able to apply. That was what the majority of us had said. And then our mayor went ahead and still did whatever he wants to do.
I
So
think that's the point right there, though, that we would like to see that process occur, but it's the mayor's decision. He doesn't want to open it up. So that's where we're at tonight. He wants to appoint these people. We can vote them up or down.
Right.
They're going to get our consent or not. Even if they don't get our consent, they still sit on the board. That's the disappointing thing with this whole process. However, at the end of the day, it's the mayor's choice whether or not he wanted to open it up, and he doesn't want to follow what 4 of us basically agreed to in the executive session. So that's where we're here
Right.
tonight, and we'll vote on these up or down.
Right.
But even if we table it, they're still going to be on those boards. I mean, they would
I
continue.
guess I'm just confused, like when we have executive session and then majority of us say that we want to do something, what's the point of having an executive session when, the mayor goes against what the majority of the board wants? I don't understand what the point of it. I felt like it was a complete waste of time.
Well, but the executive session was about the particular people. It wasn't about the process. We're
No.
back to the process. But we are back to the process. When we talk in executive session, it's about each individual person.
You know,
Attorney Simon, I'm a little confused because our prior attorney, this issue came up before 2 years ago, and the board voted against an appointment. And it was then that attorney ruled that then the mayor could temporarily appoint somebody. So I agree with that there can be a temporary appointment, but I'm a little confused now as to if the board does not approve an appointment, does it still stick?
So there's 2 different circumstances. One, where there are currently sitting appointees who are interested in continuing and aren't going to vacate or abandon the office or move out of town. In that case, they serve until their successors are appointed. If there's a vacancy where someone is unable to serve because of sickness or they move or whatever other ineligibility arises, and there's actually a vacancy and there's a lack of confirmation, then the mayor can make a temporary appointment.
This was a person who was already serving on the zoning board that was then temporarily appointed because, all right.
Because they would continue to serve. Wouldn't that have been similar to
they
like,
continue to serve until another person
that's
is
what we had
brought
with,
forward.
But no, it was made, that was a temporary appointment. That Attorney Coppage said that you had the right to make a temporary appointment. And then you made the point that it would be permanent, temporarily permanent. So it's 2 different.
I can't speak for Attorney Coppage. I'll stand by my explanation.
Well, there's a second motion on the table to table these. We have a motion and a second. I need a roll call on that.
Who made the motion? That was,
I made the motion to table.
and what was the second, please?
Valiant?
Thank you. Kraus?
No.
McAlpine?
no.
Cossler?
Yes.
Betts?
No.
Cavelli?
Yes.
Weinhammer?
Yes.
Mayor?
No. Reverting back to the original motion for the appointment of Chris Sporl to the Police Pension Board.
So moved.
Second.
We actually already have a standing motion and second, so we don't have to do that.
Don't have to do that again? Okay. Roll call, please.
Excuse me, is this for number 3? We're going this
Yeah.
individually?
Yes.
Thank you. Betts?
Yes.
Cossler?
Yes.
McAlpine,
Yes.
Weinhammer,
I'm confused on what we're actually voting on here.
The appointment of Chris Sporl.
Okay, no.
Cavelli,
No.
Kraus,
Yes.
Mayor,
No, I don't have to vote on this.
no, sorry.
Moving forward, I will entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Patrick Jasper to the Board of Zoning, Planning, and Appeals.
So moved?
Second.
Same discussion as before.
Pardon me,
Any other questions on this?
one question, Mayor.
Sure.
Who seconded that?
Betts.
Thank you.
Seeing there's no other discussion on this, roll call, please.
Betts,
Yes.
Cossler,
No.
Cavelli,
No.
Kraus,
No.
McAlpine,
Yes.
Weinhammer,
No.
And finally, I will entertain a motion to appoint Dory Shinakis to the Police Commission Board.
So moved?
Second. Betts.
thank you.
No other discussions on this? You ready? Roll call.
McAlpine,
Yes.
Kraus,
This is a tough one. Abstain.
Cavelli,
No.
Weinhammer,
No.
Cossler,
No.
Betts,
Yes.
Good. Moving to administrators' reports.
I'll have the chief come up here to the podium. Mayor Village Board, as most of you are aware, we've experienced significant rain over the last few weeks here, and a lot of rain in southern Wisconsin. The village has seen the Fox River rise. It's something that we've monitored here for quite some time now. Last Friday, the chief and Assistant Director Walsh and myself went out and walked along the Fox River. The residents that were within the village of Cary met with numerous residents and talked to them about the latest information that we had. Over the weekend, we continued to monitor the river, and then on Monday, we put a few skids of sandbags down by the river and continued to keep our eye on it. It looks like the river has crested here. We've been very fortunate in Cary, haven't had any significant impact. We've got some folks with water in their yard, but it hasn't reached any properties, any homes, structures at this time. So we are fortunate, and the chief is going to provide a little bit of overview of what we can expect to see in the future here as far as potential future rain.
Well, first I want to speak about the preparedness or preparation in regards to this event. And that was, there was a significant rainfall in a short period of time. Kudos goes to the Public Works Department because they did their part making sure that the storm drains were clear. And we had secured that IEMA grant in regards to the properties at Sunset and Crest. So we didn't see any significant flooding of residences in the village of Cary. Now, you'll see in some of the situation reports that have been presented or distributed by the McHenry County EMA, that they do mention the village of Cary, but that mention is more of our area. And I will tell you that the area that's impacted significantly in the area that would be considered the village of Cary or the village of Cary area is the area that is east of Hickory Nut Grove Road at the extension of Three Oaks Road, which is Fox River Drive and Fox River Road. It does appear that a number of residences there did sustain some water damage as the river waters rose. So having done some of that preparation, and I will tell you that there was some flooding of roadways, and the creek that runs along Spring Street did overflow its banks for a short period of time. It was moving pretty well, to be honest with you. But after that, and after a period of time, in that they, most everything receded off of the roadways. Did I miss anything? Thank you. So that was our preparedness, and I think that, you know, doing those things to make sure that the stormwater drains were clear and having moved or displaced those residences really served a good purpose in regards to avoiding any, you know, issues related to residences. So we get to our response here. And we were looking at a situation where we were told by both McHenry County EMA and the Fox Waterway Agency that we could expect the Fox River to crest at 13 feet. Previously, in 2013, the river made it to 12.7 feet. So we were looking at a potential of some residences along the Fox River on Mildred and potentially over in the Arlington Club to have river water impinge into their residences. Well, that didn't occur. Currently, right now, the river is at 12 feet, 12.36 feet. And watching the levels on the Fox Waterway Agency website, and there's a number of different locations that they've been monitoring from New Munster, Wisconsin, down to the Algonquin tailwaters. It does appear that in Johnsburg, McHenry, New Munster, and Nippersink, that all those areas have crested and they're seeing the water receding. Right now, when I went out there right before our meeting on Mildred, and I also checked the Fox Waterway Agency levels, that it appears that there's been some stabilization in regards to the level of water here, and I would expect that we could see some receding of waters in the near future. So that's all good. And what we've done is myself, as the village administrator indicated, myself, Mike Walsh, and we went door to door on Friday evening to let people know what we were expecting and for them to make preparations to at least mitigate potential damage, that being, you know, moving items from their basement, taking photos, you know, locating their cutoffs for electricity and gas. We also, I've been attending briefings, so I've been going up to the Woodstock in the last two meetings were at 9 o'clock in the morning, and learned that, number one, 252,000 sandbags have been issued by McHenry County EMA. The majority of them are being used north of Cary. But in this area, you can obtain sandbags at the Algonquin Township. And as the village administrator indicated, we did place two pallets of sandbags over at Mildred, and when I went there, I don't think more than 10 had been taken off that pallet. So there's sandbags available, but right now, I think everyone's in a position that they don't believe that there's going to be any further rise in that water. So now we get into the recovery, and we can't do any recovery, or McHenry County EMA can't do any recovery until the water recedes. As the village administrator indicates, the weather forecast for the next couple days includes water and rain north of this area, so it will collect into the river and continue downstream. So what I'm led to believe, and we're looking at a potential of possibly 4 inches over a period of 3 or 4 days, that shouldn't rise or cause the river to rise. It will just slow down the receding of the waters. So we'll see how that goes. There's also things that we're going to have to do in terms of debris removal, certainly down the river, as things kind of dislodge and start flowing downriver. And also if people had sustained some damage to maybe property in their basements, and they bring those items out to the curb, we'll have to make arrangements to collect those things. I know Mike Walsh has been in contact with our waste management company. I think that we'll be able to handle that without problem. So there's a couple of things that, you know, at these briefings that we discussed. One of them is managing expectations, because we can't stop the river. I don't, as much as we want to, we can't. So we had to, you know, try to convince people to take those steps necessary to protect their property. Currently, McHenry County did issue a declaration, an emergency declaration, but they don't anticipate that there will be a presidential declaration. What that means is that there might be some reduction in the amount of financial assistance that could be obtained by people that were victims of this flood. Identifying impacts to the community, one of the things that we were talking about today was those tangential or issues that relate to the flood. That means that, maybe people didn't come into the county to vacation or spend, there's an economic impact to communities and things of that nature, so we have to identify those. Certainly, there's been a big push on the federal level to ensure that you document your damage prior to, during, and after, so that you can show the condition prior to and the condition that it was restored to. And finally, we continue to improve our relationship with McHenry County EMA by participating in their briefings, number one. And number two, we're exploring options. I was in contact with District 26 and the Park District for potential housing of some volunteers in this area. So we'll see. I don't have anything further in regards to that, but I've been exploring that option. Other than that, in our role as, emergency management, I only have that to report. I would entertain any questions that you have. The good news, excuse me, is that the impacts directly to the village of Cary are probably minimal to none. We were very lucky we dodged a bullet. The areas surrounding us in the unincorporated areas, and particularly in Lake County, did see some significant damage.
Certainly appreciate all the chief's hard work on this, and Assistant Director Walsh too, filling in for Director Morimoto. We threw him a curveball, I guess. So
Yeah, thank you for going out to the residents.
appreciate everyone's help. It's all
yeah.
Public Works. So
Reminiscent of 2013 when we had that horrible flood here in Cary that previous board had to deal with, that we were very successful through EMA and IEMA getting grants to remove homes that were continuously flooded, creating detention areas that held up beautifully this last rain.
I don't want to speak for Mr. Walsh, but I believe that we didn't see any issues in regards to Sunset and Crest.
Yep.
That's great.
Yep, that was well worth it, so thank you.
Thank you.
That's it? Okay.
This ties in with the rain though, but not for you. It's more for Mike, I think. Do you have anything to say? I had a resident contact me about the East Main retention pond. If they could check the grates, there were like trees growing up in it and a lot of weeds and stuff. If they check that, just make sure it's flowing correctly.
We can do that. We can contact actually the Park District.
Oh,
That's one of the detention ponds that the Park District is actually takes ownership of. So that I will contact someone over there. But it has to go a long way for that to overflow.
oh, I know.
So it's a very, very large pond. So.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike. Did you have anything else, Jake?
no, sir.
Chief, do you have anything else?
I do. By the way, I did use Textcaster on several occasions to get out information related to road closures and the level of the river. And I'm told that there was some residual impact on Facebook, that people did see it on Facebook as well. But I just wanted to remind you that August 1st is our National Night Out. Unfortunately, I will be at a conference. They scheduled it this year that way, but Deputy Chief Nadenoff will be handling that. I've been part of the preparation, and I anticipate that it'll be bigger and better than it was last year. We have armed forces representation, other agencies in regards to law enforcement representation. Certainly we have games and entertainment for the whole family, our tow agencies and Public Works, and I believe that Public Works has a
Surprise.
Yes, a surprise,
Hold it.
special exhibit. So
Yeah.
I believe that everyone will be, and there'll be some snacks, but they'll all be prepackaged and peanut friendly or free, so that everyone can partake in them. So it's August 1st, Tuesday, 6:30.
Thank you, Chief. Brian, do you have anything for us? Thank you. Any future agenda items and discussion by the village board?
I just want to bring up one thing real quick, maybe a couple things. But I wanted to, we had talked before, and I talked to Jake about this. I'd like to get something set up where we have some of our visits from other taxing bodies, such as the Park District and, you know, whether it's the library or the Conservation District, just to come in and give us updates as to what's going on with them. It would be a great opportunity to just keep that open communications, the line open with what's going on with them and how it impacts us, because there was some lap over and those type of things. So I'd like to see that. And then also, you know, a discussion in the, I'd like to see something happen with what's going on with Meyer, with Algonquin. You know, what are we going to do with that? Are we going to be able to annex some of that? I think it's important to start opening that communication line up again, open that up again and start figuring out what we're going to be doing with that.
Yeah, I actually saw the village manager for Algonquin last Thursday and told him that I wanted to meet and talk to him about that. So we're actually working on setting up a lunch to discuss that. So,
Awesome.
okay.
I just have one thing.
Go ahead, Jake.
And I'm not sure if it's something we really need to discuss as a board, but I'd like to have the ZPA meetings video live streamed also, the same as our village board meetings are.
Live streamed or just taped?
I'd prefer the live streaming. I mean, if we're doing it for the village board and committee of the whole, I don't know why we couldn't do it for that one either.
We try to have them all taped and then put online afterwards.
Oh, they are, okay.
Yeah.
They're online
The
right now.
ZPA is online.
Oh, okay.
That's why I asked if you wanted them live streamed.
If the village board wants them live streamed, I mean, we can talk to our consultant, see if he's able to have someone, you know, here, if that's something that
We
you
can
all
see what the
want.
cost would be in that.
Right.
Yeah, because we paid to have it live streamed.
It-
We're looking at you.
Do we want to talk about that now?
Sure.
I mean, does the majority of the folks, do we want to have that live streamed, or are we okay with just taping and posting after the fact?
I'm fine with having it live streamed.
You do want it?
It's fine.
But is it going to cost us money, though?
Yes.
Correct.
That's
Um,
right. I
and
think maybe
why-
we should withhold this decision to another time and
How
maybe
soon are
get
they-
back with some cost estimates.
How soon are they put up, posted online after the meeting?
We try to post them as quickly as we can with the resources we have here. For example, last meeting that was on Thursday, we haven't posted it yet, and I still haven't talked to Director Simmons on if it was videoed or not here. So
I mean, if we could get
It
them
was,
up like the
okay.
next day or by Monday following that Thursday or something, then that would be
Within a
appropriate, but
reasonable
otherwise, yeah.
5-day period or something like that.
I mean, the cost, it's hard for me to say what the cost is going to be. I mean, we haven't budgeted for it here. But if we have a long zoning board meeting that's 4 hours, well, at, you know, $75 an hour, it's going to be pretty expensive here. So we can try to, you know, right now in the time being, get them up as quickly as we can. And if the board wants to further discuss this at another date, we can do that or continue it through the budget discussions that we have this coming March.
That's fine. It's fine with me.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I'd like to have on a future agenda discussion about the solicitation permits and increasing the fees on that.
Is that something that the majority of the board is interested in discussing here and having the police department research, bring back some data?
Yeah, I'd be interested.
Solicitor fees, is that what we're talking about?
Do we currently charge?
Permits,
What are we charging now?
I don't think we charge them.
We don't charge anything for our solicitor fees. People have to apply for and receive a solicitor permit. It's generally only good for 30 days, and then they have to reapply. And they have to meet certain criteria. They have not to have been convicted of a felony within the last 5 years, things of that nature, and then we have to maintain those records. But in talking about this, the intent of the current solicitors permitting process was to allow residents to control who they want to come to their residence. So we ensure that the individuals, who they say they are, they haven't, violated a similar solicitor permitting ordinance or statute someplace else or here, and allow the resident to put up a no solicitor invited sign, and they can keep solicitors away and, make that election versus us making that election as it relates to, number one, perhaps charging fees that some of these solicitors can't pay, number one, or number two, restricting solicitors altogether. I've seen fees anywhere from $25 a year to $25 a day in regards to solicitor permits. But it really comes down to the intent of the board and what you want to do as it relates to having access of solicitors to people that might want them to come to their residence, because not everyone has a no solicitor invited sticker on their house, because I still have some left at the police department. So that would be in a nutshell. Now, if they don't receive that permit, there's a penalty for that, and that would be $75 on an adjudication citation, administrative adjudication citation, and if they don't pay it within 10 days, it goes up to $150. But that's about the most severe penalty that you would receive under this particular ordinance.
How many permits do you get per year, would you say, on average?
That's a good question, and sometimes they come in groups, like the electrical aggregation groups or pest control groups. They tend to come, in groups. We have our regulars, where one individual goes and receives a permit every month and does home repair solicitation, things of that nature. And then we have ice cream vendors. And we have two firms that have ice cream vendor permits as well.
But it's only actually when they knock on your door that they would need a permit? Or if they're hanging things on your door, do they need a permit?
No, only if they ask for money from something,
Oh.
So they have to.
But if like a lawn service hangs
Because-
something on my door?
That's not
they're not
solicitor,
required.
no, that's not, and if someone's doing some work for a religious organization, they're not asking for anything from you, except maybe your soul, I don't know. And then, other not-for-profits that might be doing those door-to-door solicitations.
Okay.
Okay?
My only concern would be if we did, I just want to make sure, I wouldn't want to be in a position where, I know that sounds really silly, but you could be in a position where if it's snowing and a kid wants to go and ring a doorbell and say, I want to shovel your driveway for money. I'm not trying to overdo it, but sometimes when you put things in, there's unintended consequences.
This is just talking about the fee for the permit, not talking about.
Right, but I'm saying, do they have to have a permit to do that? Is that considered soliciting? I mean, I don't,
I thought, from what I understood, children are exempt and.
what happens if it's a
We
20-year-old?
we try to be reasonable, too. I think fair and reasonable.
And there's some controlling court decisions, I think Watchtower, the Bible. Yeah. There's some direction as it relates to religious organizations and things of that nature. So you can't control everyone. You can have everyone, you would have to have some exemptions in regards to who would have to pay these fees. But we can certainly research those things. Okay.
Is that something that the majority of the board wants to discuss?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
No.
No.
On a night that we have a light agenda, not like on a night tonight,
Yeah.
but the last couple of agendas we've had have been really full.
That's right. Which brings,
Yeah,
You're-
okay.
you're all right with that?
Yeah.
It's not urgent. Next, I would like to bring up about agenda management, about things we have. Back in 2013, previous board put together this item that we're talking about right now, future agenda items and discussion by village board, which was meant to eliminate concerns for, people bulleting things that they want to get done. The conversation that we just had just now, finding out if people want to have things put on the agenda that helps with staff, because why do something if a majority of the board doesn't want to do it? This is why we have future agenda items on the village board, and typically it's on the committee of the whole. So I'd like to talk more about that and how we could help manage that better with staff and timing, because this is a jam-packed agenda, and talk about prioritizing various things that come within the village board. Any concerns with that?
Nope.
Thank you. Anything else? None said, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We'll reconvene at 7:30.